Whilst with the help of our experts, we will decode the local nuances and perspectives on Metaverse. Once again, reminding everybody to kindly download this report from the resources tab in the lobby area. On that note, without any further ado, I now welcome our speakers for this session, Ms. Dolly Jha, MMA India Board Member, Country Head Nielsen Media, South Asia Nielsen India Private Limited, and Mr. Rohit Dadwal, Managing Director, MMA APAC.
Hi, welcome. Welcome to Metaverse is the Medium. This is a very interesting session. And with me, we have Dolly Jha, who's the Managing Director of Nielsen. Welcome, Dolly, to a very interesting and I think a futuristic session.
Hi, Rohit. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. So we're going to talk a little bit about what does this mean? What does Metaverse mean? What does it mean for the marketeers, the consumers? And how does this evolve in days to come in an advertising and a marketing environment? We all have been very focused on making sure that we understand this medium. But more than that, it depends about how we behave using the new technology that is in front of us. And more importantly, how does the Gen Z, the consumers or the progressive consumers, if you will, are looking at it in a way to thrive and not just thrive, maybe to capture the zeitgeist behind this new medium and technology. So we are going to talk about a few things about what Metaverse is, what does it mean for the industry, what does it mean for the consumers, and how does the new age of advertising and marketing evolve in this world. So before I go to the Dolly, I just wanted to give everybody a quick understanding of what Metaverse is. I think Metaverse really is a successor state of the modern internet that we all are used to. We saw internet in the late 90s, the early 2000s, internet 2.0 with social media, etc. And now the web 3.0 as we call it. All the same content with a lot more possibilities, a lot less limitations. Currently, the viewers are on using different platforms that confines the specifics, but doesn't limit but limits the interoperability. With Web 3.0 and the Metaverse, I think what will happen, what we will see is the interoperability will be far, far greater. The opportunity to engage and transfer content creation, etc., will be able to, and it will be able to generate a lot of insights, not just from the content developers, but from consumers and the marketeers, and help it to be distributed freely. So with that, I wanted to ask Dolly, what is your first take on Metaverse as a consumer?
Okay, so Rohit, as a consumer, I think the concept sounds really exciting. Okay, there is no denying that. It seems really exciting. But I think what is more important or what is critical really is that what are the opportunities which the brands or advertisers are really creating for consumers to immerse in the metaverse experience. I think that is something which is really going to be defining how consumers really take to this, and what are the what are the really what is the progression really that we see from there.
So do you see any specifics from a marketeer advertiser perspective of their lack of or their awareness and their interest in participating in this Web 3.0 environment and creating these solutions to make sure that the consumers ease into this world?
Yeah, certainly. Rohit, the way I look at it is that whether we call it a Web 3.0 or whether we call it a metaverse, right? As far as the marketer or advertiser is concerned, this offers another engagement avenue. Okay. And what this really is going to be enabling is that it is going to be creating the physical experience pretty much, right, in a virtual reality. Right? So I see this as a very, very powerful engagement avenue which is available to the advertiser. Right? Now, with passage of time and with we should see right use cases evolving for it. That is very important. Correct. So there is excitement definitely amongst advertisers, I would say, but we need to have the right use cases. We need to have the right technology partners. So that is very important, correct? And I'm saying, and I'm using the word technology partner, I'm not using the word technology vendor, correct? Because in this particular thing, the technology partner will have to work very, very closely with the advertiser to ensure that he is able to enable the metaverse experience which the advertiser has envisaged in the context of his brand. So that's how I really see it.
And it's interesting, actually, yesterday on the sessions also, Gerd, who's the futurist, and also the meta session, they all spoke about the coming together of this ecosystem and not just a relationship between one versus the other to get business. So I think you just hit the nail on the head. It is really the joint collaboration and the partnership, not evolving into a virtual landscape where one versus the other is being played through. So if that happens, what would be the future outlook and apprehensions in your view from a marketeer standpoint, Dolly?
Okay, so Rohit, the way I see it is that there are certain sectors which are more amenable, to leverage the metaverse, the metaverse experience for their brands and consumers. That is something which is important for us to recognize, right? The obvious ones which really come to my mind is that if you look at things like auto, if you look at real estate, if you
Yeah.
look at ed tech, if you look at durables, if you look at fashion, if you look at accessories, correct? Now, these are definitely some of the sectors where we believe that there is immense potential, and all that is really required is that for the advertiser or brand to create a virtual store, a virtual branded store, okay, and create that touch point with the consumer to immerse in the metaverse experience. That is critical. But there are there are few things which are critical, which is that if you look at the kind of hardware which is available, correct? Today, the hardware which is available, and here I'm really referring to the VR headsets. Uh, I mean, it's fairly expensive, right, for a normal consumer to really avail of it. And I'm not saying that, and India is really known for very fast technology adoption. So as consumers, we are very attuned. As consumers in this market, we are very attuned to consumers adopting technology, as you would have seen, whether it is e-commerce or OTTs or digital payments, the way Indians have latched onto it. But the point is that the offering has been made relevant to the market. And when I'm saying relevant to the market, I again go back to my point that we have to have the right use case, and we need to have the right hardware at an affordable price point for the consumer to immerse in this entire thing.
That's a very interesting point that you made, Dolly. And I think hardware is very important also because, as I said at the beginning, interoperability has been a big limitation of the earlier internet or the internet of the past. And as what we understood with the web and metaverse, the new internet is going to be hardware agnostic, which really means they interact with everything that's happening, which also enables a lot many more aspects for marketeers and consumers to look at. Some of them could be user generated content in a social environment, which is again interoperable. Therefore, the opportunity to bridge these worlds, which we call the gated community versus not the non-gated. What would your thoughts be of advertisers approaching the consumers and building that bridge between themselves and the consumers in that new environment, which is more agnostic, more interoperable?
Sure, sure. Rohit, the way I see it is that for consumers, it is not going to be that he's going to be saying, oh, this is a brand which is creating a metaverse experience, and therefore now I have to, I have to really buy a new headset, or I have to do something new, to get onto it. So it will have to be a seamless transition, which will have to be created for the consumer, right? Now, let's look at that example. We've got two brands which really tried to do it early on, right? The ITC Fable, which was a wedding case which they created, and the second one was the Mondelez one, right? Which they created. Now, I would say that from the point of view of creating excitement, there was excitement which got created, correct? At least there was excitement which definitely got created in the marketing and advertiser fraternities is how I would see it. And also perhaps amongst leading edge consumers, correct? Now, what I'm saying is that I think that's a beginning which has been made. But now if you really have to make it very, very relevant, both for the brand and also for the consumer, how do you make it really relevant for the brand and consumer? The way I see it is that if think of an example of a branded store, correct? Now, if it's a branded store which has to be created, which is being created by the brand, right? I should really get that experience that I'm entering that branded store. I'm able to buy something, and it's not a digital good that I am buying, because we did this survey recently, Rohit, where, and we went to leading edge consumers, right? And we were really trying to figure out that do consumers really get excited with a digital good? The learning is that consumers do get excited with a digital good, but they're not excited only with the digital good. They also want a twin for themselves, right? So you have to sort of create a pathway for me where not only am I able to buy the digital good, but I'm also able to buy the physical twin of it. That is important. So for me, that becomes a very relevant use case, both from the advertiser standpoint and also from the consumer standpoint. So
No,
that was something, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree, and especially citing the two case studies that you use cases that you mentioned, I think it also reflects very well of how that shift is happening from storytelling to story making, from direct to consumer to direct to avatar, from a centralized operation to more of a decentralized operation, and maybe a little bit from live events and loyalty programs to virtual performances and blockchain enabled benefits and so on and so forth. So when this shift is happening in a metaverse environment, the new marketing ecosystem, or a bit the decentralized one, do you see that being more proactive in terms of creating these virtual experiences, or is it going to be taking the lead from the consumers, from advertisers?
I would say that it will have to be, I don't think it's a or, Rohit, really, right? I see it really happening from both ends. I'm saying that today, if you look at the consumers who we have in front of us, that's an audience which is really raring to go. Time and again, they have shown the way they have gone ahead by adopting various new things that have come up, correct? So they are all set there. I would say that the leap will also have to be taken by the advertiser, and for the advertiser to take that leap, right? You will need to have the right kind of technology partner enabling him with that leap, right? And the other question which will immediately come up is that, oh, I'm doing so much, right? And that's a question which the organizations are going to be asking. What is the ROI on this initiative? You would have seen that with every new marketing initiative which really comes up, right? There is a fair amount of effort which gets into it. There are, of course, monies which are assigned for that. And immediately there's a question that what is the ROI I'm getting for it? So which means that you will also have to figure out some kind of measurement in place. But the point is that with every new thing, it's going to be taking some time for ROI to really set in there. So there is a certain distance which needs to be traveled, for brands to get there. Right?
So if this is all very rosy, Dolly, and I think very optimistic also, but while all this is happening, it's also challenging for marketeers to adopt, to change. And change, as we all know, is not easy. Nobody likes to change. So what would be marketeer apprehensions about this future with metaverse and the growth around that?
So Rohit, I'll talk about the sentiment of Indian marketers, right?
Sure.
Very clearly. So in terms of sentiment and in terms of intent, it is high. Okay, it's certainly high. And we have seen that Indian marketers are, pretty experimental, in terms of taking on to newer initiatives. In terms of, but there is clearly a realization that uh, it is couple of years away, for it to become, and I'm not even saying it is a couple of years away from becoming a mainstream, right? It is a couple of years away, from it really making strong inroads, as in when you have a marketing plan for a brand that you really need to have something which has got a metaverse component to it. It is few years away. And the reason it is few years away is actually the external things, right? Do you have low cost headsets available? I am sure there are companies which are working in India, right, which will make low cost headsets available to consumers. So that's going to be one lead point. The second one is obviously going to be technology partners who are willing to run with the marketers on this one. Correct. That's going to be the second one. And the third one is obviously agencies are going to be playing a very important role in building the right use cases for marketers. So those are some of the things which will really enable this journey.
No, thank you for that. And just to remind the audience, we have Metaverse, the medium, the white paper that was done by MMA. It's available in the resources section. So you can please click and download that. It is very informative, a lot of use cases, a lot of insights about Metaverse and the potential of Metaverse for marketers. So I hope it'll be a good reading for you all. We do have use cases, and one of those use cases, Dolly, in that we talk about live events, for example, and the scenario that was created was a live event or a concert that is created in a metaverse, which is done by Coca-Cola as an endorser of the BTS, and anybody who has a NFT of Coke can log on to that metaverse concert with unlimited number of fans globally to draw that parallel. What would you think of a similar scenario in India could look like, and if there is one that you can think of?
No, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure there are enough and more brands who particularly are catering to the kind of target audience that you talked about, right? So I definitely see I mean that's a great use case actually, Rohit. Similar to the Coke one which you talked about. So I see enough and more use cases for it. But as I said that, only a digital good is not going to be exciting. There will have to be some physical experience which will have to come alongside for it to be truly fulfilling for the consumer. That's something which we will have to bear in mind.
I also understand you guys, Nielsen was working on a specific research to understand some of the insights of the landscape of metaverse in India. Would there be anything that you can share with us?
Sure. So we actually spoke to both consumers and advertisers, and we spoke to some leading edge consumers, and in NCCS A1. Now, one thing that I have to call out is that I was at least surprised with that are consumers aware of something like metaverse? Yes, they are aware of something like metaverse. Okay. Do they want to try out things in a virtual reality? Absolutely. When it came to auto, when it came to fashion, when it came to real estate, they are willing to explore, they are willing to try out things in a virtual reality. Okay. But the point is that the moment you ask them to buy something, to complete that, complete the entire thing, and that's where this entire thing came, that I'm not okay buying only digital good. I want it to complete my, I want to have a physical transaction completed, or give me a pathway to really navigate my physical purchase. So that's important. Coming to advertisers, advertisers are quite upbeat about it, but they expect a lead coming from technology partners and agencies to actually get them ahead in this game. So that was in a nutshell where the Indian market is on this currently, Rohit.
And so to summarize and to revisit the first question that I had, which is how do marketers perceive the opportunity of metaverse? They are very optimistic, as you said. They are high. They are experimental. Their sentiment is also very high. What do they see if platforms and technology partners are the ones taking the lead? How do brands see themselves? What is their role? Are their role as an enabler, as a participant? What do they really see their role today versus 3 years versus 5 years? If you have any thoughts on that.
Rohit, brand's role per se fundamentally is not going to be changing, right? All brands really want to give best experience to their consumers. All brands really want a best reach for themselves. All brands really want expect best loyalty of their consumers,
Okay.
right? Now, I'm saying that therefore brand's role is not going to be changing. Now, in order to really get there, or in order to really remain strong on this journey, the way brands look at this is that this is a fantastic engagement opportunity, which is available for advertisers to engage with their consumers. Okay, and this is something more than your normal advertising that you have, right? Which is a digital advertising or even a 3D thing which you try and create, because you are trying to create a virtual environment. You are trying to create it as close to reality, and you are really trying to make consumers engage with the brand. Correct. So the way brands look at this is that this is an opportunity which brands have where they can leverage this technology, correct, and increase their engagement with consumers. That's how I really look at it.
So would it be fair to say that brands with such convictions need to enable a very highly relevant and long-term positions rather than short-term executions of cases which offer less brand equity and not much protection of the properties that they will build in this environment?
I don't know whether you classify it as long-term, short-term, Rohit. The way I look at it is that, when there is a plan which is being developed for the brand, correct? And we hear of 360 plans, right? Now, I'm saying that in that, there is a very strong, there is a small, I'm referring to Metaverse as a small avenue at this point of time, but there is a very powerful avenue which has emerged, correct? Where, I create a virtual store, I create a virtual event, correct? In terms of adoption, obviously, you're not going to be seeing very high numbers adopting it initially. I'm saying. But imagine the kind of buzz that it will create for the brand, right? Imagine the kind of social media conversations possibly it will create for the brand. And that is something which is important, right? Because brands today are engaging with very young consumers who love to engage with technology, who love to do new things, who are experimental. So, this offers a fantastic opportunity for brands to really keep their consumers excited.
No, you are right. And actually, if we see by the two use cases that you mentioned, the ITC and the Mondelez, if there was anything that we have to learn from that is the PR and the buzz created by those two has gone far beyond what they would have ever expected from.
Exactly. And I'm saying, okay, should it be improvised? Of course, it should be improvised. I mean, both of those cases, if you look at it, there's a long way for improvisation, right?
Yeah.
But then this is a brand which has gone ahead and which has done something, correct? Even as a limited set of consumers who reached it, who've been reached by that. But the consumers say, oh, this is a brand which is trying something new. Okay, we'll definitely think twice about that brand. That's how I look at it.
And once the consumers get involved in it, they also create content around it and experiences around it, which they would utilize, transact, and maybe seamlessly jump between these virtual worlds if
yeah.
Okay.
Certainly.
So one last question before I let you go, Dolly. What would be your key takeaway for marketeers, or top 2 points for marketeers to address in the next 12 to 18 months?
I think my first takeaway is going to be that identify the right use case. That is extremely important. Okay. And second is going to be that identify a right technology partner for you. So these are really my two messages for the advertisers.
Okay. And have you personally been a Metaverse user?
I have not been, but I'm quite excited about it. And what I've done for the session is that I have created a digital avatar for myself, right? And we'll show you that avatar. I was very excited by that. So I'll show you that avatar in a bit.
So you've taken your first step towards Metaverse.
Yes, I have.
I'm very glad to.
Rohit, you asked me a question, have I tried the Metaverse experience? So I'm going to be trying it for you right away. So this is my digital avatar. Now, what I want from brands is that I don't want to buy only the digital good. I am excited about the digital good, but I also want a physical good. So that is something which I'm really, that's my ask of advertisers and marketers, that when you're looking at a metaverse engagement for your brands, please make sure that along with the digital good, there is also a physical good which is available. But this is exciting. I love this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dolly, for your time and your key insights. As we all know, Metaverse is there. It's now, it's present, it's omnipresent. It's all going to happen, whether we like it or not. It is the new age of marketing. It is what will help shape the future. And at MMA, we are all about caring for the future, making sure we develop all necessary structures, platforms, guidance, standards around that. We truly believe the Gen Z, especially in Asia and countries like India, have a dominance of video-based content and consumption, which is only going to grow in the metaverse. Metaverse is going to be driven highly by content creators, which are consumers. They are going to socialize it, seamlessly jump between these interoperable worlds, and blockchain being the key enabler of decentralizing. Metaverse allows the true ownership of digital assets along with the physical assets, which all marketeers need to have and own. So regardless of the environment that they are purchased in, which Dolly was talking about, you need to have those options available. We truly look forward to Metaverse. As I said, there are resources available, Modern Marketing Reckner, which also talks a lot about those sessions, and a couple of other sessions that happened yesterday. I encourage you to go and see that if you have interest in Metaverse, or if you have any more follow-up questions, you can reach out to, you can mention your questions, and Dolly and I will take the opportunity to answer that. Thank you.
Thanks, Rohit. Nice chatting. Thanks.
Thank you, Dolly. Thank you so much for your time.